Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Travis Johnson. I specialize in deploying, administrating, um, and configuring Palo Alto firewalls. In today's lab, we are going to, this is video three or four of a series. And in today's lab, we are going to connect the firewall to production networks with security zones. So again, I try to keep my labs or my videos super short and simple and to the point. Um, So today, again, we'll just be connecting the firewall, configuring a few uh, security profiles, a default route, and connecting the firewall to the internet. So again, super simple, super straightforward, and I hope this is useful for someone out there. So first things first, we're going to start by configuring the interfaces. Um, the interfaces, I prefer to start uh, with configuring the interfaces because within the interfaces, you can configure the zones and you can add your virtual router as well. So instead of going, to each one of the separate little tabs within, um, you'll see what I mean. You can go to the interface and configure, your virtual router or your zones within the interface. Um, so let's begin. 1.1 is going to be you'll see this as I set it up, but 1.1 is going to be um, that is the X that is the outside facing interface. So that's going to be the zone that's facing the internet, and then 1.2 is going to be inside, and then we're going to use, I believe, interface 1.3 is our DMC. So interface type is going to be layer 3 virtual router. We're just going to select the default virtual router. Security zone, and you see what I mean now is where we can create our zones within the interface um, while configuring the interface. So we'll click new zone, and we're going to call this the internet. It's good to add description so that at a glance you know exactly what interface is connected to which zone. So we're going to name this the internet, and then we're going to set our IP address, just 203.0.113.20/24. When configuring your IP address, you do have to specify your CIDR at the end. So just be aware of that. In advanced, for me, generally, I also like to create my management profile here, but for the outside facing zone, I won't create my management profile, but you'll see any other two interfaces I will. So, link stated, the interface is also set to automatic, which once we commit, um, it'll be set to up. So 1.2 is going to be um, our user network. Same thing, layer 3. Same virtual router, default router, security zone. Again, we're going to create a new zone. This zone is going to be we'll call this the user zone. Click OK. I think we add little comments here too. Again, um, the more descriptive sometimes the better. Right. So next we're going to set the IP address, our internal network, or this particular internal host um, address is going to be, or this particular interface address, sorry, is going to be 168, 192.168.1.1 slash 24. The actual internal host address. This will be the interface address, but the host that's going to connect to this interface, that host address is 192.168.1.20. So, okay, let's add that. And now we're going to add a management profile because we want to be able to, from this internal host, we want to be able to ping the interface, and we also want to be able to SSH into the command line and also reach it from a browser. So I want to do allow management, SSH, HTTPS, and ping. Okay, click OK. I'll jump back over here and add this internet connection comment just so it's consistent. So internet connection. You'll see the comment populate there. And 1.3 is going to be our DMV or DMZ rather. Call this DMZ server connection. We'll go 3. And pretty much all the settings are going to be the same as it relates to the each each interface is still going to be part of that same virtual router. This is going to be a new zone. We're going to call this our DMZ. DMZs are usually set up for external facing servers so that traffic is segmented in a more secure way. We'll call this DMZ zone. It's where you put maybe your application servers or web servers or something like that, depending on your environment. Um, IP address is going to be 192.168.50.1/24. And we're going to do some management. We'll add the management profile to this interface as well so that from the DMV, from that external zone coming inbound to the firewall, we can also reach it, manage it, and so forth. So next we're going to go over to virtual router, click default, and if you notice the interfaces have been added to the default virtual router because while I was configuring interfaces, I added them to the default router. So this is where you're going to create your static route. A static route is simply a route, um, an allow all route. So it's going to be quad zeros. You'll see as I configure, it's going to be, and if you're familiar with routing, this will make perfect sense. But if not, I'll try to explain a little bit. But quad zeros are essentially going to go into the routing table and essentially tell traffic that if you don't know where to go, if you're not sure what route to take this route out to the internet. So if you don't know Worst case scenario, this is your quick exit route out into the public. Um, so we'll name this our default route. It's going to be 0.0.0.0/0, and the interface, our outside facing interface, is 1.1. So we're telling traffic, when in doubt, without a specific destination, just send traffic to interface 1.1, and a next hop router, which is going to be the upstream router. This is going to be the address. So remember, the address on Ethernet 1.1 is 203.0.113.20, right? So the next hop router is going to be 0.13203.0.113.1. And essentially, notice that our Ethernet 1.1 and this address are both in the same subnet. So just imagine a firewall is connected to a router. So you have the internet, a router, and then our firewall. The outside interface for our firewall is interface 1.1. The IP address for that interface is 203.0.113.20. The outside interface, the ingress interface for the router is 203.0.113.1. So essentially it's telling, what we're defining with the static route is, when traffic leaves interface 1.1, it egresses interface 1.1, send it to the next hop, which is within the same subnet, which is this address right here. So, okay. So now routing has been configured. Now we'll jump over to our zones, double check those, which the zones have been configured. Everything looks good. We'll just make this, we'll call this users net. Clean it up a little bit. Now we're going to commit. And while this is committing, in general, it takes a couple minutes in general to commit. So I like to close that out. Generally, if I'm at work, or even a lab scenario, generally at work, I'll go off and tend to another task, uh, complete another ticket, come back, and I'll go to the task menu, which will show me the progress of where that commit, um, the status of that commit. So we're going to open up our secure shell. Um, and we're going to, no, let's do this. Let's go back. So next what we want to do is go here. Actually, we could go either way, but we're going to use our secure shell to log into the firewall command line. Here we go. And I have it pre-configured to SSH into the firewall with the pre-configured uh, credentials, password, and user ID. So now we're in a command line of the firewall, and now what we're going to do is we're going to test connectivity. So we're going to ping from the firewall out from our individual interfaces. So remember, interface 1, 2, which is our user subnet or user zone. We're going to ping from that. So we're going to do ping. Let's do source 192.168.1.1, which is the address of Ethernet 1, 2 to the host 192.168.1.20. This is our user PC. Okay, so we can reach the user PC from our firewall. Next, we're going to ping from our DMZ Ethernet 1.3 to host to our web server in our DMZ zone. So from our interface to our host. Okay, so we can reach our web server. And now we're going to ping from our outside interface to the internet. So outside interface address is 203.0.1.1.3.20 out to Google. Everything looks good. So it's all working. So now that's just proof that we're able to ping from all of our interfaces to what's behind the interface, the hosts that are behind the interface. So now let's test. Let's see if we can ping from. Let's see if we can ping from. Let's see if we can ping from. Well, actually, I know that will not work. So let's see. Okay. So we created our zones, and next, let's see. Next, we need to create some policies. We've already created our management interfaces, which if you go here to interface management, network profiles, network tab, network profiles, interface management, you can see the allow management profile. And then we go to our interfaces, we can see which interfaces um, have that profile as part of their configuration. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to try to ping. Let's see if we can ping. Let's see if we can ping Google from our inside host. No. So from our user network, we cannot ping Google yet. So let's see if we can create some policies so that from our inside host and from the DMV, we can reach we can reach the internet. So let's see. Let's create a policy. Actually, I'm going to save that for the next. Um, let's see. Can I ping 2.168.1.1? Yes, I can ping that, which has already been tested because I added the management policy to the interface. And let's see if we can SSH admin at 192.168. What's the address of the firewall of the management interface? 1.254. We'll go yes. Enter in your password. All right. So I think I will end that video on this note because in this video I kind of wanted to illustrate how easy it was to um, configure the firewall, um, connect the firewall to production networks, and just create the security zones. So I hope you guys found this useful, and I'll see you in the next one.